Hey y'all, welcome to American FarmSteadHers podcast. I am Donna and this is my friend Jenny, and we are here to encourage you to farm like a girl.
So farm like a girl. So what exactly does that mean?
Well, I think, this whole farmstead, homestead, whatever you want to call it thing that's kind of sweeping our nation over the last couple of years. I find that there is a community of women predominantly who are running their farmsteads, running just like they run their home. They're taking care of the animals, they're feeding, doing the daily chore things. And that's not to say that it's only a chick movement.
Right.
Because certainly I couldn't do it without my husband here.
Yes, absolutely. Husbands are a vital part. But for me, farm like a girl means husband's not always around. Husband works outside of the farm full time to provide money for me to do what I do.
Somebody's got to bring in some income.
Somebody's got to bring home the bacon.
Right.
Other than the literal bacon. So for me, farm like a girl means, you know what, it's time to pull up the bootstraps and put on the big girl panties. And you know what, I might not know how to do it, but I'm going to learn how to do it.
I'm going to figure it out.
I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get my hands dirty and try to see what I can do by myself. That way I'm not having to bug my husband as soon as he walks through the door to, honey, cut this piece of wood for me. Or,
that's the last thing I know. That's the last thing my husband wants to deal with. My husband's name is Eric, and he is tired when he gets home.
Yes.
He's dirty and he's tired and he's usually hungry. And he gets his phone calls in on his way home.
Yes.
And so a lot of times he's still on the phone when he rolls in the driveway, and he doesn't need me tapping his shoulder with my to-do list.
Right. So farm like a girl. Let's do as much as we can. Let's get outside of our comfort zone and really learn how to do it, and learn how to do it well.
For sure.
Maybe learn how to use a new tool. Maybe learn how to move those animals safely by ourselves.
Or, if he is gone, and it's not that I have a to-do list, but it's of wants, I'll say, these are the things that I want to do. But maybe it's an emergency that happens and my kids are at school and my husband's at work, and a tree fell on the fence and the cows are going to get out.
Right.
I'm going to have to figure out how to repair that fence on my own.
Right. Yeah. Yes, very good point. So tell us a little bit about your farm and how y'all got started.
Okay. Well, so I get asked this pretty frequently, like how long have you been homesteading? And, and then there's a whole question of what is the homestead? What does that mean? And we can go into that another time. But I kind of feel like homesteading is a mindset, and, producing more than you're consuming is to me, a good definition. But so when I was a kid, there were a handful of years that my parents decided to farm. I use the term loosely. It wasn't supposed to be just for profit. Both of my parents were between jobs at the time. They were in the beginning of building a house themselves.
Okay.
My grandparents lived nearby, and my grandfather was to be a help. Now, this is all coming from my childhood memory, and you know how sometimes your 11-year-old memory is not exactly what the accurate picture was? So,
right.
So anyways, we lived in, my parents built a barn, which was actually a home shaped like a barn. It was a small home, and a 2-story red and white barn, and we made a lot of memories there. But at the time, we lived in there while they built a house, and they decided they wanted to do all the farm things. And so we had a ton of pigs at one time. My dad sold pigs for income. We slaughtered pigs for our freezer. We did meat chickens. I think we did turkeys for a very short time. But pigs were the main thing. We also did have a dairy cow during that time, and I showed her with FFA, had no idea what I was doing. but I fell in love with the process.
So did they farm like prior to, or was that like the beginning of them homesteading and farming, or did they come from a homesteading farming background?
No, they did not.
So it sounds like they just jumped right in.
They did. They jumped right in. They had my grandparents nearby to kind of give some advice.
Okay.
Where my grandfather did. He had farmed in the past, and at
Okay.
the time he was a truck driver. But they learned on their own a lot and had to, this is before internet. So
Right.
they had to source books and, had a few good manuals on hand of how to do things.
Okay.
My dad had to teach himself how to butcher a hog. And there was a learning process. So yeah, that's kind of where it starts for me. Then there was a number of years where they started a small business that is still thriving today, and sold all the animals to be able to do that because the time constraints with starting a business, and the feed bill was exorbitant. And
Isn't it always?
It is. Even then, I remember it being an issue, and so they sold all of the animals, and my brother and I were in high school anyways, and we just really weren't as into it. But at the time, I remember the sad, empty feeling of we don't have the animals anymore.
Aww.
And I missed it. I did. I mean, as an adult, obviously, I understand the need to do that at the time. But then, I missed it. And I was busy doing my own teenage things anyways, having that life.
Uh-huh.
So then fast forward, married my high school sweetheart. We live in the barn, and we bring home our new first little baby. And at the time, we had a handful of chicks and chickens and a bottle baby calf, because that's what every new mom needs.
Right.
I mean,
it makes perfect sense to
why
me.
not? And so, so we had, again, it was ridiculous. We had no idea what we were doing. And, but I do remember feeding my baby and then setting him up in front of baby Einstein with the monitor, and then running out with the calf bottle and feeding that baby. And it's kind of funny. So we ended up selling that and, getting in a position into a better home. And so then again, skip forward a few years, and we started with one thing at a time. I guess maybe we got our heads on a little straighter instead of just jumping into straight overwhelm. And I don't remember honestly what came first, but I know we've always had chickens. We've always had yard chickens, not necessarily cooped, but yard birds, so that we've always had fresh eggs. And then we started to garden when the kids were very young. It kind of gave me something to do while we were playing with little ones outside that don't always want, to play with mom, but mom needs to be out there.
Right.
And so, I had my first raised bed garden. I think it was an 8x8, which was kind of dumb because you can't really reach the middle. But it grew stupid vegetables, in a way that I've still not been able to match broccoli in the summer. I don't know how I made that happen, but beginner's luck, I guess.
Right.
So, and then it kind of evolved out of that. We began to homeschool our children. Before we homeschooled, I had been working for the family title business. That's the business my parents started. And we had the big housing market crash in 2008. And so after that, I came home and quickly realized we wanted our kids home, that our oldest was in kindergarten, and we didn't care for that at all. Yeah. So he came home. And so I think just a combination of me being home, wanting the kids to learn what they wanted to learn, what delighted them, what were they interested in. And with little boys, I'm sorry, but it's always, let's explode something.
Yes.
Or drive something, or it was the animals. Kids love animals. And so we kind of started one thing at a time, moved our farm a couple of times, and there's so much in between details, and I'm sure will come up throughout the podcast here and there. But now We are on 20 acres in Northeast Florida, and we have 3 dairy cows. I don't even know how many. 7 beef cows here. We have a handful of beef cows at another farm. 2 little lambs. We're looking at honeybees again. It's just we're doing all kinds of things. So we've got a huge garden now. I think it's 10,000 square feet.
Nice. Bigger than the house.
Oh, yes, please.
Yes, ours too.
I don't need a big house. I do need a big garden.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're just living the dream. We're making it happen. We're doing as much as we can to grow our own food. We also enjoy hunting and fishing, and that helps, stock up the
Yeah.
freezer. And just loving it. And it's a lot of work, but we do love it.
Yeah.
So what about you?
So what you're basically telling me, though, is that you were basically raised in a barn,
Right.
and then your children were basically raised in a barn.
Yeah, that's true. That's a true story. That is a true story. Occasionally it comes out when somebody leaves the door open or
Right.
runs through the house with muddy feet or something.
Right. It's like, well, what do you expect?
That's right. Born in a barn. Not born, raised in a barn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess our story is totally different. I'm married to Tori. We've been married for 22 years, which is crazy. But I did not come from a farming background at all. Tori had a very short period of time in his childhood when he lived on a horse farm up in Michigan.
Cool.
But it was a very short little stint, but long enough to know that really his ultimate dream is to be a farmer.
Aw.
I think if he could just be a corn farmer,
Yeah.
he would be a corn farmer. It's one of those crazy dreams. Who knows? So we have 5 kids all together, and like I said, we didn't come from a background at all. I grew up in the suburbs, watching a lot of TV, and
Sure.
didn't have a whole lot of outside time. My mom was not into gardening at all. She was always real crafty and real homemakey. She liked to cook and do things like that, but was not into farming or gardening at all. So I would say that we ended up getting our first chickens when my girls were little. They were probably I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And like most homesteaders, you start out with a few chickens.
It's the gateway drug to
Right.
the homestead world.
Right.
That's what they say.
Right. And that was when we lived out in Texas, and we were only on a couple acres. And that was actually where I had my first garden. And it was super small like yours. Mine was, I think, 6 by 4. Mm-hmm. And we were in Central Texas, and it was like gardening on concrete.
Oh.
It was really bad. I mean, literally, the ground was so dry. It had cracks in it, like you would see in the movies or
Wow.
something,
Wow.
And so I did this tiny little raised bed. It was maybe 6 inches tall. I threw some dirt in it, and it was an epic failure. So I mean, we couldn't grow grass out there. It
Right.
was really hot and really dry. Mm-hmm. So. I didn't mess with gardening at all until we moved back to Florida, down the street from you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a funny story, isn't it?
Yeah. And I started a small little garden there. Again, it was maybe 4 by 4. It was even smaller, but that was the first time that I ever actually planted something and something grew. We had a lot of cherry tomatoes out of that little 4 by 4 spot. We had bell peppers. I don't even remember what else I had in there, but that was kind of the beginning of it.
It lit the fire.
It did. And we were it was just a little mobile home on maybe an acre, but most of it was wooded. And we had chickens there too. And that's kind of what started okay, we need some more property, and that's when the ball really kind of started rolling. But
Yeah.
it took years to find the property that we're at now. And right now we're on 10 acres, and we are currently farming beef, pork, chickens for meat and for eggs. Just started in with sheep, so hopefully going to have some lamb soon. We're actually going to butcher our first lamb any day now. I keep on
Oh.
saying he's ready to go.
I would love to come
Yes.
help.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And we have a big garden, of course. So, it sounds really strange to say now, like what I farm. Like, oh, it's like
I agree.
how did we get here?
Well, it's funny. Years ago, so when I first got my first milk cow, Hazel, and she's like my big baby, right? And so she just turned 7, and when I got her, she was 3 days old. She was like 30 pounds. I could pick her up in my arms, and I remember bringing her home and a friend laughing and saying something about, "You're the best farmer I ever knew." I thought it was so cute and funny that, this suburbanite friend of mine thought I was a farmer.
Right. With your one cow.
And so it has taken me a number of years to, I would use the phrase the farm, meet me at the farm, or I just got to the farm, in referencing our home as the farm.
Right.
Occasionally, more so, not seriously, more in a joking matter kind of a way.
Right.
But I've just recently come around to calling myself a farmer. I don't know why. I don't know why that. I think a farmer like Tori grew up with the corn farm. You know, I feel like when I hear the word farmer, I hear combines and giant silos and thousands of acres of fields of grain.
Right.
And here we are in our little 20. Yeah. And doing everything we can do on it. And so I didn't feel like farmer, but I just recently came around to start we farm.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, we do. And it does sound weird, like when you say it out loud, but I mean, if you actually take a step back and look at it, like, gosh, we really kind of are doing this, aren't we?
What else do you call it?
Right.
Well, and I think I used to think as a farmer as somebody who produces for income. And that wasn't what I was about at all. And it's not that that's what I'm about now either, but I've just come around to where I'm able to produce a little bit of income.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, maybe that's part of the mindset, but yeah, we do. We farm our butts off, man.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I think, going back to how did we get here, like you said, it was like one thing at a time. Like you start with the chickens and you master the chickens, and it's like, okay, what are we going to do next?
Right.
Let's do the garden, get the garden rolling. And then after that, it's like, well, maybe we should get a pig.
Well, and they kind of work together, and as far as I don't want to say ecosystem, but I can't think of a better word, but all of those little variables on the farm, they do mesh together.
Hello. Just kidding. I declined that.
Oops.
Yeah, and they do kind of mesh together.
Yeah, I mean,
one leads to the other.
Right.
To the other.
To the other.
To the other.
To the milk cow. Jenny is convinced that she is never going to need a milk cow, and I feel like I'm counting the years until she gets one.
Yes,
I don't know.
Counting down the days.
For me, in our farm, the milk cow is the center. She's the hub.
Yeah.
Man, everything she does is for everything else. And so when we don't currently have pigs, but we're getting ready to set up to get pigs again to raise some pork. And when we have extra milk, skim milk, because we pulled all the cream off of it, that skim milk goes to the pigs. And the chickens.
Yes.
Like it goes to the chickens right now. But if you've never had milk-fed pork, ladies, or you really want to raise pork and your husbands don't really care to build a pig pen, you find some milk-fed pork and feed it to him, and he will say yes. You may have the pigs and the cow. So yeah, they really do work together. You think about the junk that comes out of a garden that's been eaten up by pests. What do you do with it?
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it goes straight to my pigs.
Right.
Or if I find eggs, laying somewhere where I'm like, ooh, I don't know how long those eggs have been there. I know that they're not rotten because you can smell a rotten egg. I know that they're not super bad, but they're really dirty, and those are going to the pigs.
Yeah.
And they love them.
And you're converting that rotten egg, or not rotten egg, that dirty egg into bacon.
Yes,
right.
Bacon. Eggs and bacon.
Eggs and bacon.
And there you go, folks. That's how it goes together.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so you have had to self-teach how to do all the things on the farm.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, self-teach along with books and YouTube. And I mean, thank goodness we have the resources that we have now. And we weren't like your mom and dad and,
Well, and we're a lot the same way. I mean, I don't mean to give the impression that I had this vast background of farming or gardening or anything like that. Because I don't. My parents didn't either. They had some help, but they had to figure it out and teach themselves.
Yeah.
And then when I started doing it, I quickly realized that, oh yeah, so we had a milk cow when I was a kid, so I would know what to do. But as it turns out, my parents were the ones troubleshooting, when things went awry with that milk cow, and I had to figure out what to do now. And they didn't remember. It was, 15 years later.
Right.
20 years later, so...
Yeah, it's amazing what you learn when you just do it.
Oh, yes.
It goes back to the whole farm like a girl. Like, if you just do it, you'll learn it,
Yeah, so this isn't a podcast to exclude men by any means, but we are predominantly speaking to women, to ladies who are running their homes like a homestead, looking to maybe possibly generate a little bit of income off of it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And to just, to try to encourage y'all to, to try to grow some of your own food. Start small, start with the one thing. What's the one thing that you think you can take on and learn well, and take it on and learn it well. And just to help provide for your family.
Right. Right. Yeah, so we look forward to sharing with you on a weekly basis.
Yep.
What is going on with us and our farms, and we'll have a topic of the week, something to discuss, and just kind of keep it real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can encourage y'all to grow some food.